Okay, good morning, everybody, and welcome to this new normal webinar. I hope you're all well, and thanks for joining us, particularly given the state of the weather. We're very lucky in Yorkshire here. It's absolutely gorgeous, and I trust it is with you as well. First of all, can I just double check that my sound is working? You'll see down on the bottom right-hand side of your screens that there is a message box. If a couple of you could just sort of just say yes, okay, can hear, that would be great. But otherwise, I shall just I'll plow on. It's an exciting event for me. Yeah, everything okay. It's an exciting event for me. Firstly, because this is my first Click Meeting webinar. I've done others before, but this is a new platform to me. So hopefully that'll go okay. And we're actually trying out a new question platform called Mentimeter, which I'll come on to in a minute. And then, if it wasn't just for that, I've got Virgin Media carrying out essential repair works outside. So I'm not too convinced that my internet might hold out. But anyway, fingers crossed. Hopefully, it'll be exciting for you, obviously, to find out what you might do part of the Stop Make a Change this year. So hopefully there'll be something for everybody. You will see on this opening slide that we've got two supporters in the names of Cancer Research UK and Mates in Mind, and we've been working with them over the last couple of weeks to try and develop some ideas. And we will be working with them throughout this campaign. So we're really fortunate, and it's a real big thanks to both of those two organisations. So just a little bit about me for those who don't know me. As it says there, my name is Peter Crossland. I'm the National Civil Engineering Director with Sika. I also wear a number of other hats, as most of you will probably know. I'm chairman of the Cognac Tackling Ill Health Working Group, and that does give me a place around the Cognac table. I'm also vice chair of the Institution of Civil Engineers Health and Safety Expert Panel, and I'm a member, and have been for a while, of the Health in Construction Leadership Group. But I suppose last but not least, I'm here really because I run the secretariat for the Sika Health, Safety and Wellbeing Forum. So I'm not really here on my own in that sense. We have had a working group over the last few weeks put together with Bob Bradford, our chair, Richard Hemingway, vice chair, Lawrence Webb, Lyle James, Andrew Rippington, and then also from Sika, Gemma Carmody, who lucky thing is probably basking on a Cornish beach as we speak, and Bryony Wickenden, who's hopefully at the other end of the line, with hopefully being able to help out if we need it. Just a few little housekeeping matters. You'll have probably guessed that your microphones are muted. That's really just to try and keep the noise traffic down to a minimum. This webinar is being recorded, so it will appear in various guises, probably links in our weekly update, and it will also go onto the Stop Make a Change website in due course. And I did mention about our survey system that we've got, and it's run through Mentimeter. So what I would ask you to do is, if you have another device other than what you're watching the webinar on, so maybe a mobile or a tablet, if you could access menti.com using the www.menti.com login, you should be asked to enter a code. So once you're logged on, if you could just enter the code 730045 and then submit it, it should take you to the first question, which we'll come on to in a minute. So just to give you an idea of what's coming up, there's a bit more around about the introduction. a little bit on previous Stockmaker Change programs, some testimonials, so people who've been involved in those previously, a bit of interaction through some interactive questions, a bit more of an explanation about what we're really trying to achieve and how we might achieve Stockmaker Change this year, including the plans, and then questions at the end. And you'll see again on your right, on the right hand side of your window, hopefully there's a place to actually type in your questions, and hopefully if we have time at the end, we can have a run through and try and answer as many questions as possible. If not, if we don't have time, we can always do those offline. But certainly, if you do have any questions as you go through, please feel free to drop those in. So really, on to our first icebreaker question, really, and I know it is a bit binary, so I do apologise for that. It's not really that technical. We are looking just to try and determine out of our attendees today, what size organisation do you work for? And I know I've put tier 1 or SME, but I suppose principally it's those who have greater than 250 staff and a turnover of greater than 50 million, or indeed less. So it is a fairly binary choice. And if you go to your devices now, and if you can make your selection, I will try and show that on the screen in a second. So just bear with me. I'm just going to try and show this and show you the results. So we've still got some coming in, principally tier 1s at the minute, with probably 2/3, 1/3 on SMEs. I have actually seen the list of who's registered, so I do know that there are a few more SME organisations probably to link in. But anyway, that gives us a flavour of the makeup. I mean, it's interesting that, and it's great to see that number of tier 1s joining, and hopefully that you, through your supply chains, will be able to help the Stockmaker Change programme. I mean, you know, we talk about the makeup of the construction industry in that 95% or so are SME organisations. So we have a huge challenge in trying to engage with the SMEs. We do see that tier 1s are a great way of actually doing that. So anyway, enough of that. I'll come off that one and move on to the next question. So thank you for that. So the next question is, what is your role within your organisation? So we've done this as a bit of a word cloud, maximum 3 words if you can. And you'll probably see the question now once you've logged on. And they're starting to come in. Hopefully you can all see that once I share. You'll see this in a second. Still coming in. Well, I seem to have a lot of contracts directors and a lot on communications, which, given that I think our industry struggles with communications, I think that's a really positive result, actually. So if we can improve our communications, I think that's, you know, sometimes half the battle. That's really interesting. Good, thanks for that. I shall close that one down. And hopefully now that's got your fingers working. And we can move on. So just a bit about the introduction, and in terms of for those particularly who haven't been involved previously, and apologies to those who have. But we think that it was actually the first industry-wide health and safety strategy of its kind, and since 2017, it really has gone on from strength to strength. In 2017, in fact, we had about 60 organisations with around about 60,000 workers participating. Moving on to 2018, we had about 100 organisations with 100,000 participating. I'll probably skip over 2019. That sort of got hit by Brexit in a way, but we know some organisations were engaged. But we do think that 2020 will be a great opportunity, notwithstanding the current climate. But we really do think it's a fantastic opportunity to really engage and to move the health, safety and well-being agenda further on. And I hope you agree. Just a couple of quotes here, or Twitter quotes from previous organisations, organisations who have previously been involved. Flannery's here with Bam Nuttall. And really for us, this was a great one because it includes Network Rail and Tideway. So obviously we've got Seeker members and hopefully beyond in terms of the industry, but this includes clients, which is fantastic. So if we can really try and reach out to clients as well, then that would be a real bonus. This is an example from MB Roche in Yorkshire and Humber, and thanks Dan for sending this in. And Roche very active within the Yorkshire and Humber region. This one picked up by Supply Chain Sustainability School, which again is really good, that they acknowledged the work that was being done by Roche. And they used the Stockmaker Change to engage with their apprentices, which was a great initiative. And last but not least on these, we actually got to the press. So Construction News, profiling Stockmaker Change, and we're hoping the same this year, that we will be targeting media outlets to try and push the communications as much as possible. Now those are sort of those are Seeker involvements. What's happened really, I've had a number of conversations with people sort of on the periphery of Seeker, and they've all been saying pretty much the same thing. And I think it really resonates with actually what we're trying to do this year. So if you can just bear with me 2 seconds, I'm just going to play a very short video from Claire Forshaw. And Claire is ex-HSL, HSE, now with Park Health, and also sits on the Health and Construction Leadership Group. And I think what she has to say should be very interesting to you.
My name's Claire Forshaw. I work for Park Health and Safety. Just to provide you with my perspective on this year's Stop, Make a Change campaign. I'll just play from the start again. My name's Claire Forshaw. I work for Park Health and Safety. Just to provide you with my perspective on this year's Stop, Make a Change campaign. This year's all about re-engaging with our own health and safety and well-being. And I think the recent pandemic crisis has really caused us all to stop and have a serious rethink about how we work in order not only to protect ourselves, but protect those we love and care for, and people we work with and we affect through our work. So it's given us all a chance to have to stop and really think and put health at the front of our mindset. And the construction industry has been a great example of leading the way in this area. Changing attitudes, adapting and reconfiguring how we work and how we continue to deliver with the health of people firmly at front of mind. And I think we need to use this opportunity to reconsider wider health and safety implications and use this refocus and rebalance of our priorities that this pandemic situation has provided for us. Just one final thought, really. We all acknowledge that mental health and mental health for our construction workforce is obviously a top priority, but actually providing healthy and safe workplaces does contribute to positive mental health. So we might want to look at other topics in order to make good work, because good work and good workplaces are good for us, not just any work. So it might be a different focus on mental health from that perspective.
Okay, thank you, Claire. And hopefully you found some of those comments that Claire made will resonate with your own organisations and your own take on actually what's happening now. And as she said, what is different? Well, actually, everything and nothing. And I say that because, the everything bit is, well, COVID has made everything different for us all. And it's made us all look at our actually lives differently, whether it's our working or our personal lives. And when I say nothing, well, that really is around the fact that we still maim and injure workers unnecessarily. So, we'd still need to increase our efforts on health, safety and well-being. And this is reinforced by, the focus now being applied through the likes of the construction sector deal and the CLC roadmap. And both of these, offer challenges to our industry to do better. And we should. So as an outcome of that focus, we want everyone who works in the construction industry to, and this is a line that we've actually used in conjunction with Cancer Research UK, to re-engage with their own health, safety and well-being. So it's really making it quite personal, making everybody actually think about their own health, safety and well-being. So we'd like everyone to ask themselves and others what needs to be changed, along with how that change can be made. And that is actually quite key, and I'll come on to that in a little bit further, because that's really quite key. It's a cornerstone really of what we're actually trying to achieve this year. And as we say, the statistics speak for themselves. We know that construction is still a high-risk industry to work in when compared to others. And when I did some work with Constructing Better Health some years ago, we had some statistics that we used that really were quite surprising. 2015, I know it's a few years ago now, but probably not that much different now. Circa 3,500 deaths from cancer caused by asbestos. 500 through silica and 5,500 through occupational cancers. And I think one of the biggest statistics, most frightening for me, was that 56% of all male occupational cancers are related to those who work in construction. And that bottom left-hand, the second bullet point there, the cost of this is significant. We obviously have a legal and a moral duty to do better, but we even have a commercial obligation to improve things. And that really is supported, again, by the construction sector deal and the CLC to address our productivity. And the two go hand in hand in terms of legal, moral and commercial. So actually, just to get a feeling for the cost, I have just another question now. So we just got about, I think, another 2 or 3 to go on the questions. What I've posed here is, what was the cost of workplace injury and new cases of work-related ill health in construction in 2017? Now I just need to go back to my Mentimeter so you actually see this question. Right. So when you go back to your keypads, and you should now see this next question. If you could all put in your suggestion of whether it's 50 million, B 0.5 billion, C 1 billion, or D 5 billion. I'll just leave you another minute or so, just to, well, a few seconds or so, I should say, and I'll just try and share this screen with you. Right, so quite clearly, the majority of you are opting for C, which is £1 billion. Right, I'm not going to say anything on those figures at the minute, because I'm just going to take you now to the next slide. So this was just a snapshot from HSE report from 2019, and in that bottom right-hand figure shows £15 billion as the annual cost of work-related injury and new cases of ill health in 2017-2018. Now that 15 billion is all industries. So if you take typically construction contributing around about 7% of that, which is, I think, a pretty standard figure, then of course you do actually, the result is £1 billion so for all those who said option C, £1 billion, give yourself a pat on the back, because yes, you are right. But the point is, it's a huge amount of money. All this is going. Last question. I just need to, put this up for you to vote on. If you go onto your devices, you should now be able to see this question. We would like you just to choose one of the following, which you would focus on to make construction healthier and safer. So I do appreciate that there are 10 to go to, but it was really just trying to tease out, what's not necessarily keeping you awake at night, but really just to try and see, are there any common interests, and looking at the results coming in, and I'll share those with you in a second. There do seem to be one thing that's coming out quite high, and you may well be able to guess. Looks like still a few more to come in, but I will share this now. So it should be coming through on your screens any second now. And hopefully you can see it. I know there are, say, 10 choices, but the clear concern there from industry, mental health and work-related stress. And again, that's something that is coming through the meetings that I have loud and clear. It really is. It's really quite important. Well, it's very important. I'm really pleased that obviously we've got the likes of Mates in Mind on board, and we can really use their skills in the packs that they have available. We can work together to try and make a difference with regards to mental health and work-related stress. So thank you for those for that voting. Hopefully you didn't find it too painful. Seemed to work at my end, possibly a little clunky, but that's technology for you. Right, so the point is though, how do we now develop any one of those initiatives? And certainly just going back, there were, the majority were on mental health, but I think all bar a couple. Interestingly, working from height wasn't actually down as an initiative. But there again, you could say that there are so many initiatives on that's already covered. There were 3 on respiratory illnesses, 1 on people-plant interface, majority on mental health, a few on cancers, a few on slips, trips and falls, a few on lifting operations, including MSTs, and 1 on hand injuries. But I suppose regardless of what the graph says, you each have your own concerns. And it's a case of moving on, and this is really why we're here today. How do we make that difference? And I asked Bob Bradford, our chair of the Health, Safety and Wellbeing Forum, to just provide us some commentary on this. And really is a case of, well, what Bob said, he says it can be difficult to guide exactly what to change for our diverse range of participants, and I think that's showing up in the results as well. So we are sharing a series of conversation starter prompts, and the whole ethos and the whole idea of the Stop Make a Change will be around these conversation starter packs. The aim will be to stimulate positive two-way conversations between employers and employees to identify what topics or items are relevant for that organisation or workplace and may require beneficial change. So we're not saying, yeah, must do one, X, Y, or Z, but we will be making certain things available to you. There's compelling evidence that genuine engagement with the workforce, along with mutually agreed action plans, will see effective, long-lasting changes implemented and maintained. And I don't think there's anybody on the call today who would disagree with those sentiments. But it really is a case of how do we make this change? But what one thing we would ask for is that just to choose one activity and to do it really, really well. So we're not necessarily asking you to choose all those different topics. We're really just asking you to actually pick on one and, as I say, to do it really, really well. Our main conversation starter topics, where we've listed them as 4. And the respiratory, people and planet interface, mental health and work-related stress, and cancer. And these 4 suggestions really were just based on our group and what we believe are the main contributing factors towards poor health, safety and well-being. But that's only based on those organisations' experiences, and everybody has a different experience. So whilst we are saying and picking out those 4, there obviously are others available. So we have actually added in access and egress, electrical installations, hand injuries, lifting operations, office safety, slips, trips and falls, and working at height. And for those who cast their mind back a few slides ago, those were in all the ones that were actually part of the question set. So sorry if it seemed a little bit contrived, but we're really just trying to get a flavour actually as to what the topics might be and where the focus should be. So that's, for me, that has been really useful. But the problem is, how do we actually make change? How do we affect change? We know making change happen is very, very difficult. And it doesn't just happen by itself. You know, if you want to change, you have to do something different. And there is the, you know, the well-known phrase I was saying, isn't there? If we always do what we always did, we will always get what we always got. And I think that is true. It holds true. You know, it still holds true. It's used quite regularly, but I think it really does sum it up. We always do something the same, then that's all we're going to get. So we do need to do something different. And there are lots of options. I am no expert in this at all, but there are, you know, the things like Alexander technique, nudge theory, etc. And you can go and look at lots of different options of how you might be able to use it. All I would say is, from previous experiences, break your activities into bite-sized chunks. Look at the quick wins. Look at something that might take a bit longer to do, and then you've got the long-term solution as well. More importantly, though, is how you identify what needs to be looked at, and you need to ask the workforce. Consulting with the workforce is actually absolutely key. So, looking at the conversation starter packs and how it might work. Well, what we've done is just picked up an example on high-risk zones, which could even include working around machinery, so people-plant interface. And I'm just going to run through very quickly how it might work. But first of all, you need to set some ground rules. You need to then have the conversation. You need to record and agree actions, and then implement those actions. And there is actually a 5th point on there about monitoring those results. Seeing whether you were successful or not, you may need to change various aspects. And what we're going to try and do, all the packs will be downloadable from the Stop Make a Change website in due course, and I'll come on to that a little bit later at the end. So what do you do? To start, this is the setting the ground rules to get the conversation going. A lot of organisations I know do your own stand down days, so you'll be very well familiar with this. But this really is to help those organisations that haven't done it before and need that little bit of guidance. So you do need to put the tools down. You need to turn your phone off, get your colleagues together, find a quiet place, and open what will be your safety conversation starter packs that you will have printed, and have your conversations. And what they'll look like is possibly something like this. Seeker, we are looking at the packs, all the topics that were listed in the previous slides, those 10 topics. We will have starter packs for all those 10 topics. And I'm not going to go through these, but you will have, possibly 7 or 8 different cards, raising different questions. And for each question, hopefully you will have a meaningful discussion with your workforce. There's no time limit set on this. And again, I'll come on to when we're actually operating Stop Make Change. But we aren't setting any particular time limits on this. This is down to individual organisations to manage it themselves. All we're doing is giving you the tools to try and help you improve. The most important one, really, for me, is the action points, and whether it actually looks like this or not, may actually sort of tweak it a little bit. But it's really, the point is to make a record of the conversation, state what actions have been agreed, and I think that's key, obviously, because we can always talk about what needs to be done, but trying to get agreement and a way forward is actually quite something else. We then need to carry out those actions, and I said previously, to manage and monitor their success. Probably not too dissimilar that you'll all know of the plan, do, check, act. And everybody will have their own way of doing things. But really, ostensibly, that's what we're offering. So conversation starter packs for those 10 topics for industry to use. So what can we do for you? Well, we can, and as I said previously, we can provide those starter packs. We have just started the Stop Make Change website. I wouldn't ask you necessarily to go on it just at the minute, because what we want to do is a little bit of housekeeping on that. But what we will do is signpost a good practice. We'll also signpost and work with Mates in Mind and Cancer Research UK. And one of the offers that has been made from the group, from our Seeker Health, Safety and Wellbeing group, is that for Seeker members particularly, we heard that if members or participants are lacking expertise and knowledge, then perhaps there's an opportunity for the group to give some guidance. So using the forum's collective knowledge and experience, we perhaps could actually provide some assistance to those who need it. So that is that's an open-ended offer in that sense, and we'll see what comes of it. So finally, really, just moving on to the last slide, the program. So obviously, what's happening? The launch Friday the 31st is today. So we've not necessarily, it's not a box ticking exercise, but we did actually want to get this out into industry. We have set up a Stop Make Change email address that is live, and what we would ask of you is that if you're interested, want to register now, please do so, and there will be opportunities to register through that email address, and there will be an opportunity to log on via the website in due course. I suppose the key element is really trying to get some information ready for you, so that you can decide, or you need time to decide what activities that you would like to undertake. So we'll try and get the starter packs available by mid to end of August, and then organisations would at least be able to have a look and see, what those entail. and perhaps you then can use the next 6 weeks from September and into October to then develop what you want to do. And we've probably not mentioned it before, but the Stop Make a Change is going to run between the 10th of October and the 23rd of October. The reason being is that 10th of October is World Mental Health Day, and then between the 19th and the 23rd is the European Week for Safety and Health. So as we have done previously, we've run the program over a couple of weeks. So we thought that running it between the 10th of October and the 23rd of October really fitted in quite well with other industry initiatives. I would say as well that having spoken to HSE, I know that they're looking at doing some campaign work in and around October, and hopefully that will tie in with what we're doing as well. I can't say too much more about that at the minute. That's a developing program, but it'd be really good if we can actually do something with the HSE in tandem. The last point there I've added is just some sort of feedback to us by, and I've said potentially the end of January 2021. Now, this is really to get an idea, gauge opinion of what happened, how successful the campaign might have been, and then to feed that back in to what hopefully will be a campaign in January 2020, in October 2021. So with that, it's just coming up to, just gone past 22:12. That is the presentation, that's the webinar done. I have posted that last slide saying any questions. So at this point, I might ask Bryony to help manage any of those questions that come in. So if you want to just take a minute or two to actually think of any questions that you might have, then please do so. But don't forget, there's also the Stop Make a Change email address that you can contact us separately. So I will wait maybe another minute to see if there are any other questions that come through. But I guess with approaching lunchtime, and if the weather is still as good as it is where you are, you might be wanting to get outside, and I wouldn't blame you for not asking any questions, but I will at least give you the opportunity to ask some questions.
Peter, there was just one point that Claire made, that health surveillance is mandatory. Yes.
Yeah, no, that's a fair point. But in terms of how it is, the consistency across the industry, I think, is one of the questions that sort of has been raised previously. But that's a fair point, Claire. And I think that probably concludes the webinar. If nobody else has any other questions, thank you for joining us and have a great weekend.